Apollo's lore, without the pains to study it. Imagine with me a small room, a room with plain walls, not exactly bare, a room whose feature is the ability to augment your perception of the passing of time. You are waiting for something to happen. Some part of yourself knows it will never happen. You are waiting for something that some part of yourself knows will never happen, while every part of yourself wishes for it to happen, in spite of the knowledge that it won't. Or you are waiting for something, sitting, watching time stretch out ahead of you, extending backwards through events that brought you to where you are, which is in the middle of all the different iterations of the one moment that seems to be happening right now. Can you find something you didn't know to look for? Perhaps when reading, accompanied by a feeling of someone else reminding you of what you have always known and only forgotten, a search whose effort was infinite and justly rewarded with all difficulty instantly forgotten at the moment of discovery.
Teacher, are my lessons done? I cannot take another one. The teacher laughs and says, are your lessons done?
Perhaps the measure of the reading of a text can be how well the rests are observed, how well it is sung. Resting in the midst of being set upon by waiting, waiting to mourn the crossing of someone who has been let go of by waiting. Salah.
He then printed out the rendering using a 3D printer. To the horror of myself, the result was a mask that looked grotesquely simplified, a cartoon or caricature of what had originated the model. It was made out of this plastic material that was sponge-like and white, without any tangible pores, similar to the touch of hardened toothpaste, or those candy bananas I would buy for 5 cents each when I was a kid. Google features regularly in my dreams, and is usually a vast vista or beach made out of the substance. It's very pleasing to stand and sit on. My body's imprint is left when I change location, and slowly squishes back to its original shape after enough time has passed. No trace. Anyway, to the horror of myself, as my male self put on the mask, his face disappeared. Anyway, to the horror of myself, as my male self put on the mask, his face disappeared. He felt a great deal of anxiety. He told himself that rationally there was no cause to worry. He remembered Hito Stero asking if we weren't merely the draped fabric of the image hanging loosely over nodes of the rail. He remembered Hito Stero asking if we weren't merely the draped fabric of the image hanging loosely over nodes of the rail. Aren't we God's printout of aggregations of images, points of data, letters, words, stories? So he put on the mask and it became his face, which he both. So he put on the mask and it became his face, which we both grew quite fond of and eventually comfortable enough in. From watching the traders.
That a woman artist tried to exhibit the urinal under the male pseudonym of Richard Mott. Maybe she should have chosen a different name. But her submission was rejected, and Duchamp was struck by the idea. And a few years later, he organized his own exhibition and displayed the work under his own name. Or was it under Rose Salavi? Anyway, it's out there. It's a tidbit of knowledge that's out there. And if you want it, you can find it. As my sister used to say to me whenever I'd ask her a question, go find out for yourself.
All participating in this text solemnly declare, we agree
to believe that this is a work of art. This is a discipline.